Good afternoon. Welcome to How to Win in the Tap Room and While Your Guests. I am Patricia Mejia, CMO at Gotab, and I'm delighted to be joined here by my colleagues Rick Malthaner and Doug Cleary. Before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping. This event is going to be recorded, and we'll be sending a link to all the registrants after the event. So not to worry there. Secondly, you can post any questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A. If we don't get to your questions, we're going to be sure to follow up with you directly with our response. And then lastly, this webinar is all about winning in the tap room, and we're going to show you some of the most impactful strategies our operators are using in this regard. At the end of the day, we know everybody's business is different, so please don't hesitate to sign up for a demo at gotab.com. We'll be sure to customize the demo to your specific needs. So with that, I'll hand it off to Rick and Doug to introduce yourselves.
Hey everybody, Doug Cleary, Enterprise Account Executive here with Gotab and based in Central Florida.
I'm Rick Malthaner, VP of Alliances here at Gotab. I work with a variety of partners and resellers and am passionate about helping operators provide a great guest experience while making more money. I have over 20 years of experience in retail and hospitality point of sale, many of which were focused on breweries and retail beer stores. I'm excited to be here with you today and look forward to showing you what Gotab has to offer. You may be wondering, how is Gotab going to help you win in the tap room and while your guests? Gotab provides an innovative way to improve your guest experience by serving guests more efficiently. Will help you increase revenue without adding more staff, which is incredibly important given current staffing issues. Now on to today's topics. Today we're going to cover a variety of topics, as well as taking a dive into the Gotab demo to highlight just some of our platform's features. These are topics we plan to cover. If you have other items you'd like to have us touch on, please place them in the Q&A section and we'll do our best to get to them. Gotab empowers consumers with mobile order and pay technology that puts them in control. Gotab operators run lean, profitable hospitality operations with our easy-to-use restaurant commerce tools. With mobile ordering, mobile payment, an all-in-one restaurant POS, and kitchen management system, Gotab streamlines hospitality operations for consumers and operators. Gotab was built from the ground up to help operators grow profit. Our CEO founded Gotab after successfully exiting his own e-commerce agency and then running his own breweries. He saw the opportunity to introduce e-commerce into the dining experience in a way that helps operators increase their profit without sacrificing service. Gotab operators have increased sales by as much as 100%, reduced operating costs by up to 30%, and increase profitability by as much as 300%. You're probably wondering how. They're doing it in three ways. They're reducing labor costs, they're reducing their cost of goods through more efficient operations, and they're giving their guests more control, which leads to increased sales. I'll now turn things over to Doug for an overview demo of our platform. Doug?
I guess a little bit of an interview too. Thanks, Rick. And hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for today. Before I jump into the demo, I want to tell you a little bit more about myself. Again, my name is Doug Cleary. I'm an enterprise account executive here with Gotab, and I've got a specialty in craft brewing operations. I get to work with a lot of breweries throughout the East Coast, and I think a lot of the work that we like to do with them is they kind of like to go against the grain a little bit. So we really value understanding a little bit more about their service. I visited myself about more than 100 breweries, and my favorite style of beer is really any brown ale. But particularly, I really have a passion for oud brewing and fooders. They're a style that not a lot of breweries make, but if anybody on the call does or knows somebody that's making a really good one, let me know at the end, okay? Besides technology and craft beer, one of my other passions is food and beverage operations service. I've been in food and beverage industry for the past 15 plus years. And I've worked really every job that you possibly could in the industry on the front of the house side for the most part, with really just like running, busing, all the way up to running the largest catering company in New England special events department for 7+ years. So I've really been able to really train about 200 staff and change. I've done 1,000 pre-mail meetings, and I've got a good keen eye for how technology works with service. And I think that's one of the things I really love about working with GoTab, is trying to understand how it works with the operations that we encounter. When it comes to service, what I'm going to do for today on this demo is I'm going to touch on 3 different models of service. The 3 are, first, traditional. So traditional is that you order up at the bar, you order at a table with a server, they go back up to the counter, they go to a terminal, they ring in an order. The second is modern. Modern is where we're letting the guest initiate the order, in this case via QR code. This has definitely been one that's been more popular over the last couple of years, especially since COVID's really made QR codes much more readily available. And then the third is a hybrid model of service. And the hybrid model of service borrows a bit of both of those tools. And this is really fun, where our operators and our breweries are really finding the greatest success. So I'll show you a little bit about how it works with different tools, and then we can go through in real examples. As we go through, again, as Patricia mentioned, we'll be fielding questions. So if you do have any questions that come up, drop them in the chat. We'll cover them as we go. Otherwise, we'll bring them up and you can have an opportunity on the Q&A at the end. So let me share my screen here. Okay, you all should see a QR code. You see a QR code on your screen, okay? Right, okay, I'm getting thumbs up from the team, great. So when you have this QR code here, what it should prompt up next. Let me actually exit out of this. Hold on. Bear with me, technical difficulty.
Try escape, Doug. I think you're in full screen.
Yeah, I think so too. Hang on, I'm just going to stop this and then reshare. Yeah, I can't seem to exit out of that screen. You know what? Actually, let me try that. F11. There we go. Okay, great. Sorry, guys. Live audience. Sometimes it doesn't exactly go according to plan, but we're going to roll with it. So when you after you scan a QR code, you see something that kind of looks like this here. So this is the mobile UX that you would experience with once you scan a QR code with GoTab. It's a little bit different. I think that the QR codes kind of get a little bit of a bad rep. When you scan them, they tend to open up a PDF menu that's difficult to download. It doesn't really open up very well. When it does open, the menus are out of date. It's a lot for the back end and the management to manage. So this way you're able to really just update this in real time. It gives a current menu that's not only one that's just informational, but one that they can actually transact from too. So right now, typically, if I was a guest and I scanned a QR code and I went into the menu, I would probably end up going to beverage because we're going to be talking about craft beer. So as you see right here, we've got different options for your entire beer list. Instead of having to crane your head around and kind of taking a look at a large beer menu up further away, or a digital display, this gives you access to all that information all in one space. And a lot of these are breweries that we work with particularly, so these are good reference points. If you see a brewery listed here, these are ones that have had good success with GoTab. So we're using this combination of display here of both text and media. There's different options on display, but we want to show you this one because I think it helps to see some of the information, especially on the brewing side, with the ABV levels, a little bit of description, and then you open it up and you can see the larger content. So in this case, I'm a guest, I want to order a drink. So I'll order this lager, and with a friend who likes IPAs. And Stone's one of the breweries we work with, and they use a lot of video content.
Hey everybody, I am sitting here with our flagship Stone IPA. Nice bright golden beer. Got a citrus and piney aroma.
So, we're in a really content-driven age. In days of where social is really important. We're creating a lot of content between, photos and video. You do have that ability then to repurpose those. As a quick side note, I'd say if you are going to use video, Vimeo is best under 30 seconds. That's a little bit easier for the guests to be able to digest. We'll pick a size here. Let's do a large size. Okay. We'll view our cart, see that we've got these two in here. We've got a discount that's been applied. Welcome back. That means it's somebody that's been there before. We've got a coupon that's been applied for someone who's returning. Let's add some water. And now one of the key tricks here with GoTabs, you want to leave this open tab toggle on. Reason for it is that guests now will be able to continue to order. They only have to put their payment information once as they start their tab. Think about it as they're starting a tab, but they're starting it in a virtual environment. So we're going to start this right here. And now our orders have gone into the bar. This is touching more on that modern style of service. Before I go any further, any questions so far? Anything come up? Or keep on
No
rolling?
questions, but I think, do they have to enter their credit card information every time, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So no, you only have to enter in once. Once you enter in your payment information, you're saved to a profile. So each time that guest comes back, it associates with their phone number and email if they've chosen to close out before with a digital receipt. And then that way, every single time they come back, you're getting to better know that customer.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm going to share this QR here, and if anybody has their phone handy, actually, let me bring this over. So if you can, I encourage you to grab, if you get your phones handy, scan this QR. Now, the reason why we're doing this is in this case, because I've initiated a tab and I've started this order. Now, as one of the folks who are with my party, they're able to scan this QR and add to my tab. So if you've ordered with us before and you've ordered at any GoTab location, you'll be part of that GoTab ecosystem. Again, that card information will be saved. Otherwise, for the first time, it's going to ask you to be prompted for your phone number and just your name. So you don't actually have to put your payment information to be shared on this tab. And as you're doing that, maybe putting an order in, I'll show you on the food side. So plenty of the tap rooms now have food, whether it's an in-house kitchen or a food truck that's outside. This could even be used just as well as a guest menu. So if you do have a food truck that's coming in, you can load their menu and be able to have them on the menu just as well. So you're able to access all of the ordering in one place. And pretzels are always nice with beer, and there's never enough. So let's get to beer, cheese, absolutely, why not? And you can do that one tap order. It's even faster. So I can cancel that if I wanted to, but that's what I'm hungry for. So I'm letting that go right in. Okay, and now that order's gone through. A couple of things to note, I think, if we were looking to close this tab out, if we were getting to that close page, this is going to now look at that. Now it's showing a few different folks who have all ordered on my same tab. Great. So we have the ability to break these down individually. They can pay their own bill, or I can pay for all of them. But I'm going to keep this open for right now and then just move on to our next perspective. So what I've shown right now is really the guest ordering perspective, that modern perspective. There are QRs are a useful tool, but you don't have to use them. There are some who use them really heavily. They use them throughout the property. There are others who use them where service is difficult to really be able to be prompt on. So like out in patios and further away from the kitchen. So this is GoTab's point of sale. When we talk about traditional service and talking about that traditional ordering, this is that experience where someone comes up to the bar and they just want to order a drink. So they come up and they order with a bartender. This has the point of sale is really very straightforward, very easy to use, and does all of the functionality and tools that you need for being able to use in the tap room. Right now, I've got these quick modifiers turned on, which a lot of the operators find helpful. You can shut this off if you'd like in the menus section here. But otherwise, we want to keep that on because it's very easy. So I come to the bar, I maybe want to get a couple different samplers. So I'm going to do a taster. I'll do a half pint of this Kolsch. Let's do 4 ounces of this IPA too. Okay, so now I've started an order in the traditional sense. When we talk about that hybrid model of service, this is where we have a couple different options. So if a guest, and this is most cases in the tap room, we find that they're ordering at the bar and then they're moving to the table. And they're moving to the table where there isn't necessarily table service, but they want that ability to be able just to be able to move there and then continue to order. So what we can do is we can go up here and we're going to share our tab. And now we can turn that tablet around and have the guest scan, or we can text them this and they can continue to order from their phone. The inverse is also true. So if you were to start an order on the table with a QR code on your phone and you wanted the staff to be able to order, you go up to all open. You access one of these open tabs. You can see where there's been an open tab with a card and a name associated. Now we can add to that order. Right. So in that scenario, maybe we're a guest that's sitting at a table, staff, they still want to be able to provide that great service. They're walking around and they see that there's a guest that's out on their order. They let them know, hey, we started an order. Well, what's your name? Oh, my name is Jessica. Okay, great. Well, I saw that you had these beers. What would you like now? So we'd like a recommendation. Now staff is actually able to continue that order and add to that tab. And they can do that with a tablet or a card reader device which also has the ability to order from it too. So there's really a lot of flexibility. And I think that's really important here because when we're talking about service, it's about helping shape that journey, shaping that customer journey. And let me take a quick pause here because we covered a lot of the front of the house perspective. Any question here?
Just if you could describe how payment works in the different scenarios. So the first one, I'm assuming that the guest gets to walk out and pay, but can you talk about how payment works in these scenarios?
Yeah, so great question. And there's a variety of options. So if somebody comes up to the bar, or they want to close out with a server, or they close out with a staff. Actually, didn't send those beers in, so I'm going to send those in. Okay, so if I want to pay, then we pay with any of the payment mechanisms that are standard that we have connected. So we pay with a card. We can pay with the card on file, actually, in this case, because we shared the tab. So I can actually close out the tab on the guest who initiated the order on their phone. So that way it'll close out both at the bar and on their phone. Very unique. Nobody else is doing this right now. You can close out via the payment terminal, via that card reader. Manual or gift deposit, cash, if we have a cash drawer connected, any of those options. If the staff don't close out the tab, then the guest can close out the tab on their phone. And they don't have to close out, if they forget to close out the tab on their phone, we'll have an auto gratuity set up so that it'll close automatically at the end of the night. Usually put like a little, asterisk disclaimer. You see it a lot of different operations that just say that there's going to be a 15-minute, 15% charge or whatever the gratuity is on, and that'll usually cover to make all guests know that you're aware of that.
Cool, thank you.
You got it. Okay, so from the perspectives that we've covered so far are the guest perspective and then the front of the house perspective. Now, all these orders have to go in somewhere and they have to be received. So that's our third perspective. So I'll show you the perspective from either the bartender or the kitchen staff. Okay, so let me move this over here. Okay, so this is our kitchen display screen right now. And when we're talking about kitchen display screens, these, I don't know if you folks have used these before, but they're really just digital ticket takers. So the same way that you get a printer, you can use this in substitute for a printer, or you can use them in combination with a printer. But these are really just digital tickets. So the same way a ticket prints out on a printer, this is doing the same action. And we've got a lot of orders and looks like a lot of these are probably fulfilled. So we're going to just bump these off and close them. So as I'm fulfilling these orders, some other things are happening behind the scenes as we've placed this order. So when we placed an order initially, I got a text message to me that said that my order has been received. Great, lets me know my order has been put in. As I close these off, they'll be sending a message to anybody who has their phone number associated to let them know that either the order's on its way, or maybe we've set up the system so that it's only doing counter pickup. Now all of the messaging that's coming through is saying, hey, your order's ready for pickup at the window. So maybe it's out at the food truck and now the food truck order is ready for pickup. I think a couple really important features to note here that's very unique in our space is this batch word here. So batch meaning that we've got all these different folks who are on the same tab. So we've all shared each other with the same table. That's really important for two reasons. One, that we're able to have the staff have an opportunity to fulfill all those orders at the same time. So then that way they're only able to make ideally one trip, especially if there's a good distance fulfillment from wherever they're starting to where the table is. That really helps to make sure that that is reduced down for their number of steps taken, because the average server takes, I think, between 20 and 25,000 steps in a day. The other really helpful feature is just from a guest experience side. So we're really talking about experience here today. I've used other QR ordering platforms and other locations, and when you miss this element about service, they all come out sporadically. They come out and they don't come out at the same time. So for me, wanting to make sure that all of my party that I'm with all get served at the same time it's fulfilling that same need that the server would initiate, but we're making sure to have that back-end fulfillment. And then these are all fulfillment times that are adding here. So we can let know which ones we have a little bit more time to, and then which ones are over on time. Looks like Rick here is part of our brewery mug club. So again, being part of that segment, being part of a customer profile, we've got Rick here and Rich, who are both part of a specific segment that we've been able to link their profile to let them know that they're either going to get a specific discount or promotion. And I think a couple other helpful features to know here. So you can separate these by specific fulfillment stations. So the same way that you have printers that are separated, you can separate the fulfillment. So this way, if we only want to show, let's say, just the bar orders. Okay, so now this will only show the drinks. Okay, so I mean, really especially helpful for the kitchen. That way you can separate fulfillment on, cold station, hot station. There's a couple other helpful features from the back of the house side in terms of managing the flow. So if you go to products allows you the ability to help control your inventory and also reflect it to the guest. So two of the two items here are 86ing and delays. So a keg just kicked. Bartender goes on here. 86 is that lager. Maybe the pizza station's backed up. There's only so many pizzas you can make at a time, right? So in this case, we're going to add a delay. So we added that 15-minute delay. Okay. Now, what does that look like now on the guest side? So now we want to go back in. We want to order more from our menu. And now we've seen that item is 86th. So they don't have that ability now to order from it. Not going to back up the bar even more. And on the food, we got pizza. We see we've got our 15-minute delay on these pizzas here. Okay. Looks like our team went back in and already kind of added some of these items to update. So in this case, the reason why this one says 15, this one says 27 is we set a prep time of 12 minutes on this pizza. So that way you have the option here either to show that it's 15 minutes. So the total time here is 15 minutes delayed for this type. And it's going to be 27 minutes because that's going to be the prep time for the margarita plus the delay. Why is that really important? It's really important because it helps to manage the guest expectations. So much of our life is really built around expectations in that way. If we know we're going to have that extra time, we're going to be less likely to be annoyed about the kitchen being slow because we've bought into it that way. And we talked a little bit about SMS messaging. A couple other notes on SMS messaging I want to mention. If we had 86th one of those items, but we were too late, right? So let's say Jessica here, she put in that Kolsch before we had an opportunity to 86 it. We can actually just text Jessica right here and let her know that order is not available. And we can customize the messaging here. But that way we're really able to have that personal touch. And now we can message her and we can ask her and we can let her know and say, hey, would you like a different item? Or maybe we're in a large venue and then we've moved tables and we need to find somebody. Instead of having to track down a moving table number or a pager, that's this way you're able to get that fulfillment without having to be able just to have to search across the venue. And this little bubble down here, this handsome gentleman, this is one of our in-house support staff that are available 24/7, our customer success team. There's specific customer success managers that work with all of our accounts, but this is also going to be service that's available for you anytime, in-house, local folks who really know the business, understand your business, and know what problems that you're dealing with, and can help you solve it in real time. I think I got a couple of those folks on the call. Hey guys. Okay, so I think we covered a good amount. Let me take a pause there. Any questions around these items?
None that I could see. Feel free to enter any questions in the Q&A.
Okay, great. So this is really a condensed version here. I mean, we covered a lot of the major topics. I think one that I really want to note in terms of what makes Gotab special is we were a mobile ordering company first that then built this point of sale around this tool. So it's not a tool that you have to use, but it's one that we definitely do encourage you to try. And it is really helpful to have it be all in one ecosystem in one place, because a lot of other commerce platforms are, if they do have QR ordering available, they had a point of sale and then they added this tool later. So in most cases, they run separately. So you update, and you may have already experienced this yourself. You run a separate menu, you run a separate piece of hardware, a different tablet for QR ordering. It just makes it a little bit more cumbersome. This way with GoTab, it's all in one place. It's a lot easier to manage. And what we're not going to really talk about today is this backend manager dashboard. This is where you do all of the updates to your menu and tracking your sales, adding promotions, tracking your subscribers, all that wonderful, all that wonderful backend stuff. If you do want to understand a little bit more about how GoTab works, connect with us after the call, and we can set up a consultation to talk more specifically about your specific location. Let's get back here. Okay, great. Thanks everybody for bearing with me. I know that was a little challenging switching between those. Okay, so just to recap, when we're talking about what winning in the tap room is, and this is what we're talking about for today, is how many times have we had to wait into a line? How many times have we waited in line for ordering beer, or waited in line ordering for a counter window? This is a real line buster. Okay, so if you have that problem specifically in the business, this is a great way to be able to place those orders, have guests then navigate around the business to be able to make additional transaction while they're standing in line. They are not spending. Okay, so we want to give the ability to have them place their order and then move on. And again, that SMS texting is super helpful with being able just to communicate so that they can come back and they can get their order when it's ready. The human touch, we hear this a lot about wanting to make sure that it works well for improving the service and working on the guest side with the staff that you have. Really, the staff don't need to be ringing in every single order. So this is going to give them an opportunity to have a lot more time with guest engagement, product knowledge, and less time having to do that task of just ringing in that order. And then on the guest experience side, we're helping them shape that journey. So if they are, with a family, or they've got a dog, like they can't always get up from their table to order what they want. This gives them that ability to create that transaction and gives that power back to the guests, so that way they're able to really order what they want when they want to order it. Okay, let's talk beer menus. So we talked a little bit about beer menus in terms of the helpfulness of being able to see this menu right here in front of you, which is great. There's big rotations of seasonal beers, right? We're in Oktoberfest, pumpkin beers, love them or hate them right now. Winter warmers are coming up, spring session ales. You can schedule all these in advance and just toggle them on and off. So you don't have to be each week uploading the new list. Just work with your schedule and then have that be ready to go. When it comes to brewing specific software, GoTab has an open API key, and we work with a few really great additional softwares like Pour My Beer, Untapped, a lot of folks know. Bar Track is another great software that tracks keg efficiency. So all of these softwares are designed to really help the ecosystem of your commerce platform. It really just helps to make sure that those are all connected in that way. And then as you update information, it all pushes and pulls where it needs to. Okay. We talked again about that, keeping the human touch. they can spend less time at the terminals and more time at the table, right? We want them to be able to have that interaction and then work for a way that works best for their business. So you can use these tools in different ways, but these are the ways that will be able to really help shape the efficiency for the staff as well. Managing kitchen flow and inventory, we talked about that with the 86ing and adding delays. There's that two-way texting functionality goes both from the bar side and from the kitchen side. So we can let them know any product at any time and make sure that you're having that engagement with the guest. And on that note, with communication with the guest, that two-way communication, it's really important both to be able to communicate while you're in the business, but also after they leave. So you have that ability then to re-engage with them, to let them know, hey, we saw that you came out. We really appreciate you coming out with us. Why don't you come back out, next weekend to enjoy your first this event, or the first pint on them if you want to offer a promotion. So that concludes my portion. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Rick to touch on a few more points and efficiency and taproom operations. Rick.
Thanks, Doug. In the next few slides, I'll provide some examples of how Gotab can help you make more money and also about how to avoid losing money. My first example is about how Gotab allows you to operate more efficiently. Southern Side Brewing Company in Greenville, South Carolina, is an excellent example of how implementing Gotab has streamlined operations and reduced lines. They feature a hybrid model of 60% QR orders and 40% walk-up. They are keen to keep walk-up orders service as an option for guests who want to order the traditional way. Nate Tomford, the owner, had a great quote. There's a fine line between efficiency and community. We never want to lose the community feel, so we appreciate the flexibility Gotab provides to serve our guests in the way they prefer. While they have been able to eliminate long lines and do it all without adding staff, Southern Side did end up shifting a few roles. Their hosts now operate as servers, running food and drink to the table for QR orders. People are ordering an average of 25% more because they don't have to keep getting up to stand in line to order. Here's another great example of an operator selling more thanks to Gotab. We have a very high volume brewery in the Mid-Atlantic that in first quarter, which is traditionally a tough quarter due to weather, saw an average 40% higher tab for guests who ordered via QR code. We see this type of sales increase across the board. This just happens to be one example. Next slide, please. While many POS systems are still using traditional magstripe readers, Gotab uses only EMV readers for payment processing. It's been a few years since the card processing liability shift, yet many operators are unaware as their point-of-sale provider has stuck with the old way. The liability shift transferred liability from the card brands to the operator, which means that if you swipe cards, you are risking losses. If a guest disputes a charge that was not authorized using EMV, the operator will lose that money. Gotab has recently achieved PCI Level 1 compliance. Gotab has the unique ability to tokenize a card-present transaction to be used later as a card-not-present QR transaction. This means that the card that is authorized at the bar can then be continue to be used from the guest's phone throughout the same visit. Gotab also features the ability to track variants, which we call pours, which can then be converted to gallon and barrel for reporting. For states that allow excise tax to be calculated on amount sold and not amount produced, this can save significantly. For example, a 1,500 barrel taproom in Florida can save $2,700 per year. The same size brewery in Tennessee can save $6,500 per year by using Gotab. I'll now turn it back over to Patricia for some final thoughts and our question and answer session.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doug and Rick. Really appreciate you guys taking the time to go through this with us. I want to, give everyone an opportunity to open up for a Q&A. I have a couple to get started. The first thing that I'm thinking about is you talked a lot about dine-in, both from the QR ordering standpoint and from, POS with the server. Doug, can you talk about, what this might look like for third-party delivery or even kind of curbside pickup? Would that work the same? Would the system work the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Patricia. Actually, I meant to touch on that, so thank you for reminding me. The take, yes, absolutely, it does work for takeout. there's a couple different options for takeout, but what you can note is that especially on that display, there's an option on that point of sale and on the QR ordering that both gives an option for to go. So they can select to go there, they can select to go on the point of sale, and on the kitchen display screen, it will reflect that it's an item that's to go or for takeout. That will let the kitchen or whoever the fulfillment station is know that they need to package that item in that way. You can also set up a lot of operators will set up specifically for takeout their own fulfillment. So you'll have the way we talked about the toggle on and off for the different stations. You can just toggle one specifically for takeout, and then that will only fulfill for takeout orders. So a couple different options.
Great, thank you. I see, Doug, you have a question. Please continue to submit your questions. We'll make sure that we get them covered. The next question I have is, talk to us about how this system impacts front of house staff. So when they're thinking about tips and all those kinds of things, talk to us about how it impacts front of house staff.
Sure. Rick, you want to speak to that one, or you want me to take that one?
Why don't you take that one, as I see another one in the queue that'll be mine.
Okay. All right. So look, tips are super important, because we want to make sure that we're taking good care of the staff. And when it comes to making sure that the gratuity comes in, if there was an adverse impact on gratuity, we would not be having the success that we are. So what we're seeing is a lot more increase in tips and spend from the guest, and that's resulting on higher check averages, which are resulting in greater gratuity. I think that there are some specific items that need to be set up properly in terms of making sure that that doesn't cause any issues with the staff, just making sure that that auto gratuity is turned on, and that any checks that close out, because a lot of times somebody may forget to close out a tab, we want to make sure that the gratuity is still covered on that. So setting the auto gratuity levels appropriately, and you can actually change the gratuity level depending upon which location that you're accessing a QR from. So you could actually have one set of gratuity levels at the bar, and then another one for tables, another one for a special event. That may not necessarily come up every day, but you do have the option to do it if you so choose. So it does give really nice incentives and ability to add more tips to the staff. And we generally see on average that a lot of the taps we work with, their check averages for tips end up with about 23 to 24%.
That's great. And then this next question, I think, is also more appropriate for you, Doug, but Rick, feel free to jump in. So, as people start to push back around QRs, what tactics are you seeing operators use to try to ease people into QR ordering? I think you've talked about it in the demo, but it might be helpful to just kind of talk about that whole conversation about, how to get, how to ease QR ordering in, as opposed to just only giving people one way.
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking about QR ordering, I think I'll just, carry on with this, since I know Ricky got one that's a little more technical. That's really going to be a good one. As far as the QR ordering, what we showed was an unbranded QR just unto itself. So branding is one. The second is call to action. So if you want us to print out QRs for you, we'll custom print QRs for you, laminated, nice, beautiful ones at $1 a piece. Otherwise, you can go into the manager dashboard and print out your own. You can use crickets, and we've seen QRs be used in really creative ways. Mm-hmm. I would say that when it comes to QR, the little bit of branding and that call to action really does make a big difference. Am I still screen sharing? I think I'm still screen sharing.
You are.
Okay. Now this is a little off script here, but I want to just show you one real quick.
Yeah, that's fine. And I also think it might be helpful to go into Easy Tab as well.
Yes, let me see.
And again, for the rest of our attendees, feel free to continue to submit your questions.
I thought I had those handy, but there we go. QR codes. Okay. So as an example, this is one that we did for the Florida Brewers Guild. Just this in size a little bit. Okay, so simple, straightforward, clean. And I think that way they know that it's not one that's just a menu that's static, but it's one that actually has some action behind it. Mm-hmm. And that also gives opportunity to let them know maybe there's a specific purpose, maybe there's a philanthropic end of it, the reason why they're scanning. So a little bit of language, a little bit of context goes a long way.
Great. I will jump into the Q&A. So Doug asks, I wasn't clear how GoTab saves on excise taxes. Please advise.
Yeah, happy to take that one a little bit further. And I'll just state now that if anybody wants to reach out to me, it's rick@gotab.io. I'm happy to schedule some time to talk through this deeper. But just to give a little background on how it works, in the beer world, obviously, you have to pay excise tax based on it's a per gallon number, and it varies widely between states. And it's kind of funny how some states where you would expect it to be really high, it's not, and other states where you might expect that it wouldn't be high, it's through the roof. And so for example, my examples were Florida is 48 cents a gallon, Tennessee is $1.29 a gallon. So when you look at this, when you're paying excise tax, you're paying that gallon gets converted to barrels by multiplying it by 31. And then there's also federal excise tax on top of that. And I'm going to throw out there that we are not tax advisors. Please talk to your tax advisors, your accountants, everybody. But in many jurisdictions, you pay it based on the amount you sell, or you can pay it based on the amount you sell, and not necessarily the amount that you produce or the amount that you transfer to the tap room. And so what GoTab allows you to do that most traditional point of sales don't have is the ability to actually create pour amounts, as we call them, variants, and that's with a TS at the end. And so what we do there is we, in Doug's example, in his demo, you probably saw in some of them that have a 4 ounce, an 8 ounce, and a 16 ounce pour. So what we can do is on the back end, we can map those pour sizes to gallons, which can then be converted to barrels. So you know what was actually poured in the tap room. Because as you know, there's some people say significant loss due to foam, spillage, anything where you're not actually selling that beer, it's going down the drain. So we've heard different brewers mention 15%, some say 10, we've had one say 23% gets lost along the way. So by actually tracking that and understanding how much is being poured and paying your taxes based on that pour rather than the amount produced, that's how we get to that. So thanks, Doug, for your question. And if you have any more, please follow up in there.
Yeah, thank you. And for you, Doug, talk to us about GoTab's pricing.
Sure. So as far as the pricing goes, we're a pay for performance model, meaning that the pricing is really structured around the processing rates. So processing rates for transactions are grouped into card present and card not present. So card present means somebody comes up, puts the card into a terminal. That's 2.25 plus 15 cents. If somebody wants to order on QR code or online, that's card not present, and that's 2.5% plus 25 cents. That card not present is also subject to a 1% plus 25 cents guest-facing convenience fee, which is pretty nominal. So I mean, if somebody rings up a $50 tab, 1% plus 25, that's 75 cents. So that's grouped into their taxes and fees. It's usually not any issue that we just have very easily be able to take on. As far as additional costs from there, any hardware that you need is provided at cost for the most part. So like any hardware that you need, whether it's a tablet or station, really those are really just a flat cost. Whatever you see typically online, Amazon, if you were to even piecemeal them all out, especially when we provide bundles, it'll be less expensive for us going through for our hardware than it will be for just piecemealing it on your own. But as far as hardware goes, an important note on that, GoTab's point of sale and kitchen display screen can work on any Android or Apple device. It can even work on your phone. So as long as you're able to open a browser and you're able to put our software onto it, you're able to use the tool. Beyond that, there's a setup fee for new business at $500, and that really covers our cost to onboard and upfront. And there's a monthly platform fee of $99. So, but especially with the increase in the QR code ordering, you make that up in usually your first couple of days, and then everything smooths out. So there's really a lot of value, especially behind the customer service and the partnership that we provide. And we're happy to talk about anybody's individual case based on any cost-effective needs that they may need to discuss.
Great. So I think that is going to be our last question. I'll give everyone an opportunity to add any questions to the Q&A. Give them a few minutes. With that, I'm going to ask Doug and Rick if you have any final comments, and then we can wrap it up.
I'll just say, I appreciate everybody getting together today. I know time is valuable and everybody's really keeps busy schedules. If there are any breweries that want to talk specifically about their needs, you can reach me at douglas.cleary@gotab.io. You can also go through our website and schedule a demo, and that usually will just link back to me because I've been working with a lot of breweries and love to have an opportunity to work with all the operators that we have here, because I think the reason that I really like working with breweries in particular is they're really community driven. It's one of the few businesses where you can set up a brewery in a very rural place and do great business because community tends to gather around there. And that's what we're really talking about, is a way to be able to bring the community together and then re-engage with them so that they're continued brand loyal customers for life.
Awesome. Thank you, Doug. Rick, any final comments?
Yeah, I'll just echo Doug's sentiments. We love doing these webinars, love getting the information out there about Gotab, and it really is a platform that if you take a deep dive on a demo and get involved, you'll see what it can do for your brewery. So thank you for being here, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. We got one last question from Don. He asked, can a customer delete their profile, maybe a lost phone or other reason? Who wants to take that one?
Sure, that's an easy one. Yes, they can. They can opt out. There's a couple of different locations where they can opt out, but they can opt out at any time. And I think it's helpful to have the profile information. We don't, by the way, as far as data goes, we do not share that profile information. We do not share any of the data with any third party. That data is exclusively for the use and access to our customers to choose to use it to re-engage with customers as they need to. And we'll show you all the tools that you have to be able to reach out to them. But if they don't want to be contacted, then they don't have to be.
Well, I am just so grateful. I really appreciate your work putting this together. I think we could talk for hours about Gotab, but I know no one has the appetite for that. So I thank you both. Thank you for everyone who dialed in, and you have a great afternoon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, all.
Bye.
Have a great day.